Hi, everyone. Wow, I can't believe that we're already into week three or module three of effective leadership together. It never ceases to amaze me how fast these terms go, but more importantly, how enriching and great and how much I appreciate the discussions with all of you around the topics of leadership, in particular. This past week in module two, all the focus we had on discussions around self awareness. But first, I want to thank all of you for a little bit of your patience with me due to some limited amount of engagement on my part over the weekend. My wife and I had the fortune of buying a property, a vacation property, and had some challenges with getting internet installed on a timely basis as we had planned. But again, I hope I've helped to keep you all on track and we're able to respond as quickly as you needed to me to over the weekend. But hey, back in the saddle and back in Chicago, and boy, I wish I was outside enjoying this awesome day. It's beautiful out there. Well, let me touch on a couple things, kind of wrapping up a little bit of last week on self awareness, and kind of moving this week into engaging others in Module Three. So, as part of last week, obviously we talked a lot about the importance of, and we had some great discussions on the importance and why self awareness is so essential to be an effective leader and to continue to be strong as an effective leader and maintaining that level of self-awareness on a go-forward basis. By the way, we're going to continue on the discussion of self-awareness next week, both on reflections as well as, more importantly, on the Hogan debrief that you'll be getting that'll really give you even some greater perspective and self-awareness on yourselves and your behavioral kind of strengths and gaps from a leadership perspective. But one of the things that we talked about, and you all spent a fair amount of time on this past week, was on the first day exercise. As I described to all of you, the first day exercise really has kind of two important elements. One is an element that involved very much around how you show up, how you participate in meetings. Even though this was a short scenario/exercise that you all worked on together in a video teleconferencing kind of setting, it's rare that we get the opportunity to see each other and see ourselves and how experience how we participate and how we show up and contribute in meetings like that. Gaining that self-awareness, even a small short exercise like this, can be tremendously valuable. And I hope you got a lot of value out of that personally yourselves, as well as from some of the feedback I was able to provide each of you on what I saw, as well as I reviewed the videos and reviewed some of your own self-assessment of your what self-awareness that you gathered from yourself and how you participated in that process. The second piece of that exercise really is a great transition into this week in terms of engaging others, and largely because, as I said, this exercise had two components. One was a heavy part of self-awareness. The other part was as a leader in this scenario, especially in a scenario that's describing the fact that this was a new CEO meeting his senior leadership team for the first time, did not have a lot of significant experience in this specific industry. While this CEO had a lot of other leadership or business experience, clearly a private equity firm would not likely have hired this individual in this process based upon the scenario we've described. But as all of you worked on developing the agenda for what this first meeting would be like based upon what was laid out in this scenario, it's the second part of this exercise relates to understanding, importantly, as you begin to work towards establishing yourself as not just necessarily the CEO, but the leader in a new organization, how important it is to begin to develop a process and way that you can effectively engage others and work towards creating the foundation from a leadership perspective that makes that in this case, the senior leadership team or others want to make that choice to want to follow you as their leader, not just take direction specifically from a managerial or hierarchical perspective. So, as you all probably saw, I waited to weigh in heavily on your discussions around what you thought about each other's agendas, because I really was looking for you all to dig in on not just the specific agenda content, but also to some degree on what's reasonable to accomplish. That's the question I asked all of you last night as I posted it and posed it to each one of you individually in the discussion on the first day exercise. and the agendas is what should be the focus, separate from the specific line item details of the agenda. What should be the specific focus for you as the CEO in this particular meeting, given you really have never met these people and you only have 2 hours? And again, more importantly, too, that in this meeting, what do you need to do to set up this foundation to establish yourself as a leader? Again, given this is a first meeting, little knowledge and understanding about the specific industry, in this case, probably other than what might have been shared with you during the interview process with a private equity company itself, as well as you don't know these leaders you're meeting for the first time. How do you begin to establish the relationship? So that's why I wanted to continue on asking you all a couple of high gain questions about what might be your focus, right? And how might you allocate your time differently when you think about it more closely from that perspective? Oftentimes, I use this exercise and do this exercise with many groups. There's a tendency to want to, let's say, make the mistake of trying to push too much into the agenda in this first opportunity to meet a new leadership team and a new team that will be working, let alone reporting to you, to push too much content and detail into the agenda, as opposed to taking the first opportunity really to begin to engage them as people and individuals and as part of your team. How do you do that in a way that really gets them to get to know you, even more importantly, get to know them, and begin to create the foundation of forming as a leadership team yourselves collectively? So I'm interested in your additional thoughts, given the couple of additional questions I've posed. And I think that discussion will transition a little bit further into this week as we talk about that. I appreciated a couple of you have already responded into that, to those additional questions I've posed in that discussion and provided. Really started to unlock, I think, some of the important takeaways I'd like to have for all of you as it relates to being an engaging leader and someone that really begins to connect well, especially in this scenario where you don't really even you really don't even know the leadership team yet at this point. So I look forward to more discussion on that as you contribute to adding your input to the additional questions I've asked you in that discussion. Also, again, moving on to engaging others, there are really a significant group of, I think, very rich videos, short videos. One I'm anxious to have you see is the Warren Buffett video. It's a little, I think it's kind of fun, as well as it's really, I think, creates some thought-provoking kind of perspectives for you on how others might see you in the scenario that I think that Warren describes in this brief video. By the way, it's a video where he's with a particular MBA finance class and talking about how others maybe again, I'll wait, let you folks look at the video, but that's the context. He's actually discussing leadership with an MBA class. I think it's a finance class that he's talking to on the topic of leadership. Also, other good stuff on this week as it relates to unconscious bias, the concept of warmth and competence, and the importance of leading with warmth as a leader, and establishing a foundation for relationships and likability as a leader. So I look forward to reading the article "Connect Then Lead" by Amy Cuddy and others that contributed to it, the Harvard article. But there's some great videos. Like I said, really this week it's important, dig into watching these short videos, kind of getting your takeaways, reading some great articles, I think, this week that really kind of capture important elements of, as a leader, what things you can do to affect engaging others. And then obviously you'll be participating in a couple different exercises. I've asked you all today to rank based upon a piece of research done by Posner and Kausas that have been written a number of books and been doing research on leadership from a followership perspective for over 30 years. I've asked you all to kind of, from the group of leadership attributes and a similar piece of research like they do, to give me your top 10 out of that group, and we're going to compare not just your personal results, but the broader class's results to what, over time, the results that Posner and Kausas have gotten to that particular simple research study, and what it says about what followers are looking for from leaders. We'll also, many of you already started to weigh in on the warmth versus versus competence discussion. I'll be sending you another brief video from my perspective on that later this week. Um, and, uh, and an important discussion of a video, a Google video that kind of starts it off on some of their thoughts on unconscious bias and some of the impacts of that. Let's say that's our subconscious or unconscious mind that processes things much faster than our conscious mind, of maybe particular assumptions or mistakes or filters we place on things that and decisions we make by making incorrect assumptions about situations or people or others, and how we can overcome that to be more engaging as leaders with the people we're leading in order to achieve a diversity of thought that we're looking for in our organizations. Um, Also, by Monday, and you should be working out this week, is the assignment due on what makes people want to follow you. Really, a foundational assignment, a short 4-page paper from each of you on it, kind of linking to what personal things you do to make people want to follow you. What makes them want to make that choice, as well as maybe connecting to other really important learning outcomes you've taken from some of the readings up to this point, and videos and others as part of the course that we've gone through so far. So I look forward to reading those papers as you submit them by the 17th next week. By the way, one other quick reminder I just wanted to share with you. A couple of you have asked about it. Given the fact that we've moved the Hogan assessment debrief for a majority of the class to next Monday on the 17th with Jeff Anderson, I know there's 3 of you that will be doing I'll be doing a debrief with all of you with those 3 people that couldn't make that tomorrow evening. I've made the choice, and I think I informed most of you about this, but just reinforcing it, that I've moved your first 2 reflections, the Module 2 and Module 3 reflections that need to incorporate some of your takeaways from your Hogan assessment debrief. I've moved those dates out to give you adequate time to complete those and to integrate the Hogan assessment debrief into both of those reflection responses as well. Remember, on those responses, to input your content for those reflections in the one document that I've provided, the reflection document that'll include all of the reflections, and be one document you upload and submit on the dates that that's due. So anyway, look forward to really engaging with you this week on the topic of engaging others. A lot of great elements and components of the discussions we'll have and exchanges we'll have, but please make an effort to make sure that you take a look at the short videos, read the articles. There's a lot of great content that I look forward to kind of getting some input back from you on as it relates to the discussions and ways we engage on the topics this week in Module 3. I'll be back to you again shortly with another video. Take care. Have a great week, everyone. Please, again, if I can be of help to you, let me know what I can do to help to make this class more rich for you. Take care.